So first we talk about an information model. I'll be taking a universal application. From universal application, we use any EPM application. Any EPM application. And in this integration process, we are going to use key concept of data chain objects. So you should have a requirement handy with you before you start building up. So in this information model, we use certain keywords like node, node hierarchy or list, node type, view, viewpoints, request, the various keywords and jargons we are going to use it. Okay. First, we create information model first. So the entire ecosystem of EPM is fairly complicated and it's subject to various factors, the number of entities, the group of companies, the license type, the product you have purchased, and so on. Okay. So we start with very simple information model. There you have some custom application, which we call universal application. So we'll do this in what you call in delta modeling, step by step. So I'm going to use one custom application. This custom application is my CRM application, customer relationship management. And any third party product is using it, maybe Workday, any third party application. And on top of this, we are going to build planning, let's say planning solution. So we have a planning solution on top of this. So our source system, and on top of this source system, we have an information model. We have planning application, and then we have information model. So within planning application, we probably have multiple cubes. So we start with first cube. So in this CRM application, I need specifically for now a customer segment or dimension or a segment or table, right? Whatever context you like to use. I like to use one uniform customer segment and the information of this customer segment to be used across multiple cubes. So this is our custom planning solution. So across these 4 cubes, let's label them. This is my financial planning. This is my what procurement planning, any planning. I'm writing in short. This is sales quota planning. And I have a customer profitability planning. So we have different cubes, and on top of this cube, we have one uniform application sitting on top of that. Since it is a cloud hosting, therefore everything is behind the screen. Correct. Behind the screen, this is to be managed by Oracle. This part would be cloud hosted environment. It would be cloud hosting, and therefore it is not visible to us. For you, the communication interface is a planning interface or planning application. So the idea over here is that across 2 applications, our source system is CRM And on top of this, we are planning. Across these two applications, we are managing one master copy of metadata, right? So business user, they do not need to maintain multiple metadata copy. We want to create a one uniform view across these two products. So I draw over here information model. This information model is going to create a master copy of metadata. So customer hierarchy, or it could be hierarchy or it could be list. List means flat structure. Both could be possible. The customer structure, we're managing uniform uh, layer or uniform metadata. In simple word, if you make changes in your source system, the changes should be reflected to your planning application on the fly. Okay. So previously company, they were using direct integration, flat file based integration. Prior to EDMCS coming to picture, it was flat file based integration. The problem with the flat file based integration is that there are many incidents, or there are many cases, many situations occur where your source system, customer list, or hierarchy is not aligned with your planning. Could be any reason behind this, not aligned with planning. Why? Because, let's say month end process, there's an extract process you run from here, from source system. This extract process loads metadata. Extract process put this information into staging here this way. Extract to staging and staging to your planning application. This process run every month, right? We do not have any techniques to notify or identify if this process failed. It execute in two steps. From your source system, which is your CRM application. First, we have extract process. So every system has extract process, like in Oracle EBS, we use BI Publisher. In NetSuite, we use Save Search. In PeopleSoft, we use SQR. So there are different extract process. We run extract process and then we put this data, metadata structure to staging area. And then on top of staging area, this process is done by ERP team. And process third is being done by EPM team. So EPM team use different techniques. I assume EPM team is using EPM Automate or interactive. Anyway, they load metadata, load new customer records. Now, if this process fails, I don't have any techniques to notify. I don't have any technique in the system to notify the process failed, right? And many of time we load old and stale records. If process failed, system load old or stale records. When this happen, the customer list is out of sync between your CRM application and planning, right? So this happened during month-end process. Every month, first we load metadata, which is actually customer record, customer details, and second step after load customer details, we load anything, customer purchase order detail, purchase order, which is data. So data, the above one is metadata. If this process fails, obviously the second process failed automatically, because if there is no customer, how come you have a purchase order detail of the customer? This process failed. And this is what we like to notify. I come to your question, give me few minutes. Let's build the entire problem statement. So this is our problem statement. right? So company opted this EPM solution. The objective behind the EPM solution is that now we are creating one uniform layer of metadata management. It means the moment customer records are modified over here, the same changes take place into EPM. There are two ways of doing it. First, so one master copy of metadata change. Option one, you do it interactively. And option two, you have subscription based. Both options we offer to the customer. The complexity of the system is not ends over here. The complexity of the system depends upon the job role you have. This system is used by different group of people and different complexity. Since our solution is being used by different class of people, for financial application, I have a financial controller, correct? Financial controller. So I don't want to offer all information to financial controller. Financial controller would look only subset of the application, right? The term is called view, right? I'm sure you know this. In relation database, we use a term called view. Subset of the application's view. So financial controller has one view. Financial controller is going to access FinPlan application. Our sales team, they're going to use procurement, sales quota planning. This is actually CRM team. CRM team. And we have a customer profitability, the company who use for cost-based allocation, cost allocation team. So one application, one point of administration, but three different view, right? Same application would have three different view. And within financial controller also, there are two different job roles. Within financial control, there are two job roles. One, only I call power user or the business guys. Business users can make changes. They have a power to modify hierarchy. I would rather use a simple term. Business user can modify hierarchy. Right. But they can raise a request to modify hierarchy. Let me correct it. Business user can raise request, but they cannot modify. They have only power to raise request. You have over here process owner, right? Only process owner. Process owner could be budget manager, controller, whatever it is. Project process budget manager can approve the structure. So it means anytime you make some changes, right? Process manager is going to look at the changes and whatever like root cause analysis. And on top of this, your further process, your reporting system sitting on top of this, on top of planning. So other system, imagine you are using free form planning, narrative reporting, simple spreadsheet reporting, sitting on top of this, right? Quickly articulate the problem statement once again. We have two disparate systems. Whenever we make changes to one system, there is no way to ensure the downstream applications are also in sync. Many of time when changes take place on a transaction system on ad hoc basis, this happen anytime. Changes take place over here as it appears because the ERP system as it appears. But these changes are reflected as part of month and closing process. The month end closing processes, they are governed by two different systems, rather two different vendor. This is a daunting job. Many of time for different various reasons, this process fails. The outcome of this, the customer information we have in ERP and EPM are out of sync. And it pops up a lot of problem. My reports are incorrect. Purchase order detail when we load it's incorrect. So a lot of problem pop up. So the recommended solution over here to set up EDMCS. What EDMCS does? EDMCS maintain master copy of metadata of account of customer. So I don't need to individually modify each application. The moment I modify master copy, the changes take place to both applications simultaneously. Okay. So we have better process control, right? In this process control, we also incorporate, optionally, we can incorporate approval. No, you can have a workflow approval, which we'll discuss in greater detail, but option, the workflow approvals, uh, you have audit trail, correct? This application can be modified by three class of users. Not everybody can do this. If I need changes, if I'm a financial controller and I need financial reporting, which require customer information, these changes can be done only by financial controller. So when I log in as a financial controller, I would see subset of the application. This is financial controller view. When I log in as sales executive, I would see these two reports. When I log in as cost controller or cost allocation manager, I would see customer profitability index. What do I see? It depends upon what role I play. This term is called view. View. This is application. This is application. And this is called view, right? Same as the relation interface. The same view depends upon what role you play. One can read, one can write, one can approve, depends upon role. So in this view, there are two people. Business user cannot make changes directly. He can only raise request. Correct. So if new customer arrived, business user will raise a request. There are certain checkpoints we do, right? For example, a new customer, there are certain validation which business provides. We do this validation and raise a request. The request goes through multiple level of approval. For the sake of simplicity, I have chosen only one level of approval. The request will go to process owner, and process owner, subject to the approval, the changes take place. Okay, so this is a complete ecosystem. Now in this ecosystem, I am going to teach you how to create custom application. Before that, I go to your question. What question you have?
Yeah, real quick. I know the reasons why EDMCS is beneficial, right? But the steps you mentioned, extract process, put metadata structure to staging area and all that stuff, you can still code that in batching or something, scripting to alerts and hey, this failed, so you don't have the latest and greatest copy of metadata hierarchy, right? You can always do the notification, right? I mean, it's not really the only benefit I see, right, is it's syncing up in real time or near real time. Maybe that's the benefit of maintaining the master copy as opposed to having those so many steps involved, right? That's one benefit other than workflow and audit trail and other things. That's how I'm seeing. Correct? Am I thinking correctly?
This is just one simple application. There could be hundreds of applications working simultaneously when you're working for a group of company, right?
Right, right,
What there could be tons of reason. Your batch process fail, you get an email alert you get an email alert, right? What if you
right.
skip this email? Does email forces you to execute certain tasks? You can just get an email alert. You get a notification. Does notification forces you to do this job? No, right?
I can play devil's advocate, Amit. So, what if approver does not approve the request in time?
The current system has loopholes, therefore the people are buying EDMs here.
Okay.
Notification
No, no,
just a
no.
one
I
part of the
understand bigger scheme
solution.
of things. Yeah.
It is just
I
a one part of the solution.
yeah.
For the large enterprises application, there are hundreds of applications working simultaneously. In one
Yeah.
of my current project, I've got 60 seats. 60 feeds are coming. Every day I'm getting 12, 13, 14 feeds. 60
Oh,
feeds. Okay, in
okay.
60 feet, 2 feeds are failed. Forget about 2 feeds. One feed failed with one record. The entire balance sheet will be out of balance. Okay, sensitive information. If your record is partially loaded, what would you do? If one customer information is not tagged correctly. Nah,
Yeah.
the ultimate objective of EDM seems to ensure the consistency of the solution. Of course, you can have a lot of, I can write an Excel macro, and in Excel macro, I can write extract data from source system, load in planning. I can
Yeah.
render an email alert in Excel macro. I don't need an EDMCS. So there could be multiple threads of such kind of discussion.
Yeah.
Endless. Of course, you
No,
can
no,
do.
I agree. I agree with you because checks and balances also syncing, right? Near time, real near time or real time syncing.
No, it's real
Uh,
time may not
mm,
always be.
mm.
I assume you familiar with planning. I'll tell you why real
Yes.
time not always.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Look at this instance. Okay. Suppose in a trial in your source system, ERP system, as and when new customer come, you adds over here,
Right.
isn't it?
Hmm.
In your planning application, your forecast window, your forecast window is open from +1 to +3 business day. Only these days you are doing forecasting.
Yep.
Why? You don't do forecast every day. If you do forecast every day, your variants are changing. Every day you see new variances. So you
Right.
fix certain days where forecasting will take place. Correct. During
Yes.
these
Yes.
days, if there are some changes take place, let's say new customer added in your in source system. In that case, you won't add the new custom detail right into the system because your
Hmm.
forecast window is closed. It's not open. So it may be real time, it may not be real time. Okay. When you go for external statutory reporting, you don't make any real time changes. It is always done in batch. So it is
Right.
very
Right.
subjective. Possibly
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my system, I'm doing real time, but may not be real time as well. You run a schedule from X to Y date
Yes.
only, the changes will push to your system. You may get a subscription. During these days, there's a process called block out. I'm going to show it to you. Block
Yeah.
out, the term is used.
Yep.
So block out lets your service level agreement says during these days, no changes are accepted. So your request got queued and your request is going to be processed on fourth business day.
Hmm.
During these days, if I render the report from source system and planning, they would be disparate, obviously, because information available in your source system, but it is not available in planning. So not all problems are solved at technology level. You have to have
Yeah,
well-defined.
yeah, of course. Business process, like SLA, as you mentioned, right? Maybe during the close, not close, during forecasting period, you would have a refresh at regular intervals, not to disturb the users if it is spread across the continents. So yeah, I see like day, middle of the day, and the night, and things like that refreshes, like customer refreshes and things like that. As you said, batching. Yeah.
So we are going by certain assumption. This is what our assumption in this problem statement.
Okay.
This is our
Sounds
assumption.
good. We're good. We can move on.
So in this assumption, there are certain keywords we use. Let's see those keywords and jargons. Okay.
Okay.
The first thing you would learn called data chain object. Data chain object. What do I want? Behind this entire system, behind everything, the center idea of data chain object is to provide maximum availability of your application, minimum downtime, right? And maximum available of your application. Now imagine this case, okay? I have created a maintenance view. Maintenance view, in simple way, it's an interface where changes take place. So every time new customer added, we add over here in a maintenance view. We don't add direct into production system. We add into maintenance view, right? So when you're adding into maintenance view, your production environment, in your production environment, your planning and budgeting process, the planning and budgeting processes continue to be working. People, your business users are going to use this application. On the other hand, without interrupting our production environment, any change I want, I can do it in a maintenance view. For it may work like a staging area, and it go through various approval process. Various approval process. Uh, you can render report on top of that. So on one hand, your application is available. On another hand, you are accommodating those changes. This kind of a structure is a good fit for a businesses like retail business where they need high availability, minimum downtime. So this is one possible use case of it. So node type or the entire flow is designed for the same purpose. So company have acquisition, merger, structure change, all these things we can accommodate with agility. So hierarchy and member lists are self-explanatory. What you call dimension hierarchy in a EPM system, here we use a term called hierarchy. Okay. Sample hierarchy you can access from any source system. Let's say uh, I need account hierarchy. Probably I can see this from Morningstar or Yahoo Finance or Screener. This could be, if you don't have a requirement, Screener is your requirement, assume. I like to see the account structure from Dabur India. I'm going to load a financial data from Dabur India and I'm doing planning and budgeting on top of that. Imagine this is my source system. Okay. So I have it's not very well defined hierarchy. Let's see balance sheet. Okay, that's not good. Maybe I can see over here in Morningstar. This is my hierarchy. Typical hierarchy, and I want to mirror this structure. In one of our use case, we'll take extract data from here exactly in this format. There's an option called export in Excel. So if you don't have any system, this is your system. Source system. Export your data from it. There's a hierarchy view. But many of time, we are not living in a perfect world. Many of time, your structured data, the data you come from source system is a flat in nature. Look at one of my problem statement. This project I worked in 2004, almost 21 years before. So it's a Middle East company. It is into oil and gas. They have IT adoption in 1980s, not now. 45 years before you have IT adaptability. When I extract the structure from the mainframe system, I found this. Right? You see it's a flat in nature. Account system is flat. And I cannot use it for any kind of reporting. How do you want? You want a hierarchy? This is the system available in a source, and this is probably you want. See the difference. So your application, rather than creating the hierarchy directly to your target application, it is possible to create a hierarchy within your EDMCS. So obviously, business will tell you what type of structure do they need, but here you see I have a hierarchy from flat structure hierarchy. This is called list in EDMCS vocabulary. This is called hierarchy. And hierarchy has the properties. So list and hierarchy are two keywords. Then on top of list and hierarchy, we use a term called viewpoints. Viewpoints. Hierarchy has node type, hierarchy set, node set, and viewpoint. Let me give you a big picture, one line description about what is what. Now, in customer account hierarchy, the same we discussed, account hierarchy. There you have a balance sheet, then you have assets. Okay. So account hierarchy, talking about only accounts, it has only one structure. So we call this node type. Node type entails all the member within this hierarchy, they represent account structure, account balance sheet structure. What you call dimension member, we call node type over here. If you want to compare in terms of EPM, we have a dimension, right? Account is a dimension. We have dimension member, balance sheet is a member. Under dimension member, we have properties. So obviously in account dimension, we have only account information. In the context of EDMCS, we call node type. In account dimension, it would be hierarchy. In account dimension, each member is called node set. So under asset, cash, cash in hand. Cash in hand is a node, and the collection of all these nodes is a node set. Well, self-explain node set. Collection of node belong having a common behavior or a nature, collection of nodes. And these nodes have some properties, right? Dimension member have a properties. So property, like in planning, we have a property, data storage property. Two type of property. One is system defined, account name, attributes, two pass calculation, and user defined. The user defined property we call attributes. We use the same thing over here, but the context is changed. So this is hierarchy. Collection of all nodes called node set. Okay. Each node, all the node within the node set belong to common behavior. We call node type. And then we have one thing new is called viewpoint. Or we call viewpoint, right? So the entire hierarchy may look different for different users, isn't it? Now let's say this cost center. This is my organization structure. What is viewpoint? So my organization structure is like this: line of business, sub-line of business, division, subdivision, group, and cost center. Right. And there are different cost centers, some numbers. So if you're a cost controller, right, let's say this cost and talk about travel expense. You're a cost controller for expenses. So Tabby is a cost controller. He would see only travel expense related information. But if I'm a division manager, I would see everything. All the division within division manager, I belong to a certain division of it. So same hierarchy, different people, different view. This is called viewpoint. Viewpoint. Okay. Viewpoint, it's like a view in your relation database context. I show you graphically. Any question? See this
Yeah,
slide?
real quick, just syncing between planning application and EDMC terminology. So node type is equivalent to dimension name, right? And then everything, right? Whether level zeros or level n, level 0 to all the way up, and then generation 1 down to generation X. Everything is nodes basically in EDMCS, and nodes, parent of a node is a node set. Is that correct? Okay,
So
thank you.
account type,
Mhm.
sorry, dimension type, what you call dimension type, account,
Yeah,
entity, year, period, scenario, this is node type.
node type, got it.
Collection of node is your dimension, and individual dimension member is called node. Individual
Okay.
dimension is node.
Not just
What node
level
we
0,
haven't
it could be
discussed?
parent, it could be ancestor, it could be descendants, whatever. Everything is node.
Correct. Let's see this
Okay.
live to have better understanding. We haven't discussed top node yet though so far. So look at one graphical view. Ready? You have a view over here. Get same information, the information model I taught you few minutes before, how it looks to end user. So under views, I'm going to share a customer view, customer master. Does it make sense? Name itself, customer master, master information of customer hierarchy. I click on this view. For me, it looked like it's a one system, right? This is my view, but behind the screen, it consists of two systems. One is my CRM application, one probably my planning application. I'm going to open this. Okay, you are a user, correct? Now you see two things over here. Customer list. Few minutes before I shown you. From my source system, the customer information I am retrieving, it's flat in nature. So we call customer list. In planning, the customer information is hierarchy, right? The customer information is hierarchy and customer information is flat. What do I want? I want the moment I make changes into one of the system, anyway, bi-directional also possible. I use only one direction in general. The other way around is also possible under certain circumstances. I'll talk about that circumstance in few minutes. Okay. So I have two view within this. Customer list, a flat structure, customer hierarchy from planning, maybe from planning. Okay. And I have lead management system. One more system on top of that. I could have multiple views simultaneously. We use only two, planning and CRM. You could have FCCS, you have a reporting system, blah, blah, blah. So let's limit our focus to two viewpoints within the view. Okay. Now, in the viewpoint, this, what you see in your screen, this is called side-by-side view. Tab layout, I make it side-by-side view. The beauty of the product is that any change I do into my source system, right? At the same time, I can simple drag and drop, make these changes. We'll do this, but I'm just talking about an objective. I click over here, make a new request. The moment I click new request, immediately system create a change management object, change objects, right? So there's a request ID. I can track it. So behind the system is creating an audit trail. The moment I make a request, I can simple drag and drop the new customer from one system to another system. See this again. Bidirectional. Okay. Let me roll back the chain. I do it again. I'm going to discard this and show you again. Once again. Discard this request and do it again. So I have got one new customer into my source system. I can simple drag and drop. This is interactive way of doing it. Right? There's one more way called subscription where I don't need not do this interactively. System does it for me. A simple drag and drop.
So you are dragging and dropping from list to hierarchy?
Yes, both ways are possible.
So
Depends
it
upon the
would,
way you design your system. In
got
this
it.
example, my source
Uh-huh.
is ERP system or transactional system, and my target is EPM system. A simple drag and drop. So look at the big picture, what we are trying to achieve, right?
Mm.
What we're trying to achieve, we have created a one information model where the changes is a single point of administration. But the question over here, imagine in my source system, there are 10,000 new customer come. It's a retail business. Would you add 10,000 customer one by one? What
No.
if you skip one customer out of 10,000? It's a daunting job. So EDMC was given you a beautiful feature over here called sync. Syncing. So sync means system will automatically check what customer exists in your ERP system but does not exist in EPM, or other way around, what exists in EPM doesn't exist in ERP. You can sync it. Once they are sync, in future when you execute tasks. Like in our example, what for the problem statement? After adding customer, when I was loading purchase order here, my purchase order detail was getting failed because the underlying customer doesn't exist. The customer doesn't exist. Therefore, it was getting failed because my customer information from ERP to EPM wasn't synced. But here I can sync it. There is certain process. I'm just giving a big picture over here. Right? So it's not always true. The data structure move from ERP to EPM. There are instances. Let me complete this. I'll come to your question. There are instances. I'm going to talk about one scenario in a planning context. If you guys are familiar with planning, you will uh, understand it well. Otherwise, probably I'll take more simplified example. In this case, I assume the information is flow from ERP to EPA, but other way around is also possible, extensively being used. Okay. Take this scenario. I'm creating workforce planning. In workforce planning, there is an employee life cycle. What I'm talking about, the need of syncing metadata from EPM to ERP, other way around. In customer life, employee life cycle, this is what we do in workforce planning. We add raise request to hire new employee. This request go through approval process. When approval process is successfully executed, employee convert to existing employee. This happen. Problem come over here when you add new employee in EPM. Obviously, the employee should also be exist in ERP. At this point, we give even time. At even time, let's add one employee. I added one employee called Amit. At this point, my HCM system and ERP system are out of sync. HCM or HR system. Amit, employee, does not exist in HCM system or HR system because you added in planning and you did not add in your HCM system. So there are two ways to solve it. When you do not use EPM, what do you do? Without EPM. Without EPM, the process we follow, standard process. You run from source system, you run extract process. Before you add employee to your planning application, you add employee, I would rather say add employee to HCM system, run extract process, put into staging, and then run EPM automate or whatever you want, interactive, depends upon your need. And then you load into your workforce planning. That is option one, without EPM. Sorry, without EDMCS. Without EDMCS, this is a solution, but not a great solution. With EDMCS, what you do? In EDMCS, you add new employee. You add, we'll do this live. Add new employee in workforce planning application and you run sync. So the changes you make in EPM will push to your ERP or HCM or SCM, CRM, whatever it is. This both bidirectional metadata push is possible, either interactive or subscription based. So that is what we're going to do it. Next step. What question you have?
ED, right? That's EPM typo, I think. EDMCS. With EPM MCS, it's just a D typo.
Correct.
Oh, in the notepad.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, sorry, not in the paintbrush. It is EPMCS. It's a small thing, but I'm just highlighting that's all.
EPM,
It's EDMCS, right? With EDMCS.
EPBCS, EPBCS, correct. EPBCS. So bidirectional information flow is possible. So wherever you see a term called master or maintenance, it entails without putting your application, without downtime, you're letting your user access your application on one hand, on another hand, changes are taking place to your system. So when you further go to customer master, eh, there's an option, click on this, there's a data chain object. Under inspect, I'm giving a big picture. We're going to implement this and then you have a better understanding. You click on data chain object. Let's interpret this one by one. This has no hierarchy. Let me pick it up which one has hierarchy. Inspect. Data chain object. There are three node type, one hierarchy, one node set, one viewpoint. We'll take a screenshot and we see what is what it means. Okay. So imagine there are three viewpoints. We start from right to left, this way. In this example, there's only one viewpoint. Imagine I'm creating two viewpoints for employee. My one viewpoint, full-time employee. Now imagine I'm running medical benefit calculation, which is only applicable for full-time employee. So there's one view. There's another view for contractor. So I have a choice. I can create multiple views like this based on employee state, based on various factors. When you log in, you see different view. To achieve this, you see the movement is right to left, but I've drawn over here. My arrow direction is just opposite. Why? Because I put a node type over here. So I have two node type. To draw this, I create two node type. Node type, I associate a property. What property? The property called employee status or employee type. Imagine employee type is a node type, which has got two values, contractor and full-time employee. So I have two node type and subject to what you want to make changes. I'll show you one of them. Both of them are hierarchy. It is also possible one of them is hierarchy, one of them is flat. In this example, both of them are hierarchy. Further look at this, under employee, full-time employees, I have two hierarchies within full-time employee. Okay. So my hierarchy, first hierarchy by job band, isn't it? By job band. This is my hierarchy. Band one employees, there are CEO, band one, band two, band or a grade, your CFO, director of finance, and so on, and band three, band four, and so on, hierarchy. So I probably have one hierarchy by band type, senior VP. I may also have a hierarchy by band, employee band or grade, or what else? Probably you like to see this hierarchy by employee, mm, any property you like to see employee demographics. So one metadata, multiple hierarchy I can see, depends upon the job role or activity you're going to perform. So there could be multiple hierarchy in one node type. Okay. And then further you have multiple views. In simple word, if I'm making some changes, in this example, I'm running medical benefit calculation or some new benefit is applicable only to few full-time employee. I'm going to make changes to this part. This part will remain unchanged and my business team can continue to use my workforce planning to remain unchanged. Right? So business user may not be aware that the changes are taking place in other part of the application. For you, it looks like the application remain untouched. Without taking your application downtime, you can make changes. This is the beauty of creating data point. Same information, different context, different level, different row, based on different job role. That is what data chain object overall purpose. Same information, multiple context. Likewise, in this case, employee, full-time contractor, right? Multiple label, probably you like to display information below band 3 employee. There are certain benefits are applicable below band 3 employee, multiple label, right? Multiple node, and you can classify on different properties. So this is what you're trying to achieve uh, through this node type. Okay. And subsequently, there's a concept we're going to discuss called node type converter. Node type converter. In fact, if you are technical, this is one of the important aspects. We're going to talk about this in greater detail. Node type converter. If you're coming from programming, node type converter is equal to typecasting in programming language, right? In a programming language, you used to do this. You're converting integer x 8.5 as a float, something like this, we write from float converting integer. So the typecasting node type converter says, what if customer detail or customer may be common, let's say account detail. I have account dimension. In account dimension, I have account called cash in hand. In FCCS, there's one property in account dimension, cash in hand. Let's say this property is called intercompany account. This is an intercompany account. But the same dimension in planning, there is no such property in planning application. So the same member, but different properties. Cash in hand does not have intercompany account in planning, but the same property comes in FCCS. So I can write an intelligent node type converter. The moment the account is start with IC, any account start with IC, system automatically interpret. I can write a logic over here, just giving a heads up. If account type, just a logic, right? Not expression. I put a left first two character from account type, which is IC. If it is equal to IC, then I can write account what property. Intercompany account equals to yes. Getting it? The moment I drag and drop some account starting with IC, right? My system will automatically interpret anything start with IC is an intercompany account. This property doesn't exist in planning. So there are tons of such kind of node type converter activity performed with a minimum human intervention. I need not tag all properties all time. System does it for me. And that is the code we need to write. So one of the important aspect. Today, my objective was to give you big picture. What is what? quick recapitulating, probably in a minute. In our information model, it's one of the simplest information model I've chosen. The custom application this is called universal application in EDMCS context. I have a universal application which contains CRM, customer relationship information, and I want to push this information to my planning application, and planning application in turn have got multiple cubes. The customer information in turn being used in financial planning, procurement planning, sales quota planning, customer profitability planning. Each cube may be one view, right? So I create one common information model on top of that. The moment I add customer information into my source application, the same information would be pushed to your planning on the fly, automatically, or through subscription. This is what I'm trying to build. And this information model is fairly complicated, depends upon the job role you play. As you see, customer information may exist in planning, in procurement, so on. I create 3 different views for this. One view where customer information being used within financial planning. It may also be used within sales, cost allocation, right? Within financial planning, there are 2 different users. Okay. One class of user, they can only raise request, but they do not have adequate privileges to approve the request. They raise request goes through multiple level of approval and subject to request approval, right? And the underlying accounts to be added. And behind the screen, every time you make changes, system is going to render a request ID. This request ID is used for audit trail. So you may have multiple viewpoints. There is a possibility to further classify the same hierarchy by different context. I can classify employee or a customer by demographic. Here I use example for employee. Employee can be classified as contractor and full-time. Why? Because there are some business logics only applicable to full-time employee. The moment I add medical benefit, I don't want to show this information to my business user. This is going to be complicated for my user to see everything. Don't limit my user view. The moment I am running benefit, only this view would be default view, right? So at different stages of your application, you have different context by label or by properties. By label also I can see it with a node type. So employees are classified by grade. Okay. When you log in, probably you see only those employees below grade number 3. When I log in, I can see all the employees above grade 2, something like that. And in this context, we also use a concept called node type converter. When 2 disparate applications are communicating to each other, there has to be a uniform language. And this uniform language is called node type converter. You drag and drop, and system will adopt the properties on the fly. How? We are going to write the business logic for this. That is what we will do. Now we're going to execute this in tomorrow class, this whole process. So tomorrow we'll continue talking about this. The first thing I'm going to do it. Let's see, tomorrow takeaway. First we start with create application. Create universal application. Data chain object. Then I'm going to create dimension, structure, right? Then I'm going to load metadata to universal application. Manually, you can do it, or bulk loading. Followed by this, our structure ready. Next to next class, after this, we register planning application, planning, FCCS, and other application. For example, we start with planning. Okay. We create one uniform information model, which in turn consists of universal application and planning application. And then you provide various action, various activities on top of that, like syncing metadata, loading, right? Syncing, loading, comparing, we are going to do that. And in this structure, we keep on adding more. Then we add FCCS, then we add a profitability cost management system, like that. So we'll continue one story from beginning to end. The window for you.
Amit?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, can I ask a question? Quick.
Yeah, sure.
Can you go back to that screen, your paintbrush? Um, it's a basic question. So here, like all these different planning cubes, right? I mean, obviously the plan types, you have different plan types here in PBCS. You are saying in EDMCS, it will be just one application, or it would be configured as multiple applications within the EDMCS. One for fin
Application
plan,
is one.
one for procurement plan.
Application is one. Different
Hmm.
viewpoints.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right.
What drives, I mean, maybe I will be interested to know what drives application versus viewpoints. Maybe that discussion will come to that conclusion
Yeah,
later.
when you see live, it will be better.
Yeah.
When you see live step by step solving, building up this, a better
Okay.
understanding.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey Amit, so are we having a class tomorrow? Because it's Friday?
Yes, we have class tomorrow. I'll prepare a day by day plan and send across to you after tomorrow class. So for
Sure.
tomorrow we have a class.
Yeah. And you mentioned in yesterday's class about sending an email across for access to the Google Drive. So I did send that email across. So if someone can revert back, that would be great.
I'll do it after the class.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sorry, any question? All right, no question. Let me stop here and we continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.